Hi everyone, a very good morning to all of you. Today is 2nd of February and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. Guys, today's video will be different in terms of format from the earlier videos that we used to take. Why? Because today is the budget special video. In this particular session today, we are going to analyze the union budget that has been announced yesterday. And in this particular video, we are not only going to see budget announcements, but with respect to polity, economy, basics aspect of budget will also be covered. Also, important announcements that have been made. We are going to see these particular announcements with respect to our prelims as well as mains examination. So this can be your one-stop solution for budget, both static as well as current affairs dimension. So guys, let's start with this particular video. Also, notes of this particular entire session has been provided on Telegram channel. Link for Telegram is given in description box in YouTube. There you can download these entire notes. So let's start with the video for today. And also one more thing I want to assure you that the format of newspaper analysis that we have, it is there. Today's video is different because it is budget special video. So let's get started. And guys, briefly before starting, I would like to inform that if you have not joined up the Roundup 2024, you can still join the class. It is going to be a dedicated current affairs module for upcoming prelims examination, where entire 1 year's current affairs we are going to do in theme-based manner such as economy, polity, social justice, science and technology, environment, and likewise. For the classes, you will be provided the PDF notes. Also, there will be MCQ questions after every few topics so that your efficient learning can be helped. If you have not joined, you can visit our website www.sahilsaini.net. Also, in the comment, there is a link provided. You can join the course if you have not done till now. So that is all. And now let's start again with the budget. Now, first of all, guys, when we talk about budget, the word budget comes from the French word budget. It comes from the French word budget. Budget means a wallet or a leather bag. So guys, we find this particular tradition that in the British Parliament and even in the Indian Parliament, the budget was presented in brown color leather bag. So that bag is budget, and from there the word budget has come. But now we see that present government has broken that particular tradition, and rather than the leather bag, they are presenting the budget in this red color cloth envelope. Okay, moving on. Now, when we talk about budget, so word budget is not mentioned in the Constitution of India. Okay, when we talk about Constitution of India, it mentions the word annual financial statement, and it has been provided by the article number 112 of the Constitution that annual financial statement has to be laid before the parliament by the president. But actually, president does not lays the annual financial statement. It is finance minister who lays the budget in the parliament. First there will be the budget speech, and post budget speech the budget will be laid. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that this particular year's budget, that is the 2024-25 budget, it is different from the earlier one. Why? Because this is an interim budget. I'm sure you might have heard this particular thing already in news. Now, what is interim budget? So interim budget is also called as a transitional budget, or in formal terms it is simply called as vote on account. Now, in the years when elections are scheduled, in those particular years, this particular interim budget is announced. Understand this particular thing, guys, that in the month of April and May, elections will be conducted, and by the month of June or July, new government will be constituted. So around the month of July, there will again be a budget that will be presented, and that will be full-fledged budget. So this is an interim budget, and interim budget, they are transitional, they are very small. Okay, does not contains that much big promises because a new government will be formed. Okay, and this also, guys, we see that Miss Nirmala Sitharaman, who has been finance minister, this is her sixth budget, and this was one of the shortest budget speech that she has given. Why? Because it was the interim budget. So Article 116 defines vote on account. It defines vote on account. Vote on account is advance grant that is given to the government, advance grant that is given to the government from the Consolidated Fund of India to fulfill the short-term expenditures, and this interim budget is also simply referred to as the vote on account, So two things we learn from this particular thing, that it is a shorter budget than the usual one. It is a transitional budget, so a regular budget will come around the month of July. Okay, moving on. Now, we have already seen that Article 112 mentioned that annual financial statement has to be laid down in the parliament by the president. But who does it? It is actually done by the finance minister. Now, Constitution of India provides that in annual financial statement or the budget, there needs to be a differentiation between charged expenditure and other expenditures. Now, charged expenditures are those expenditures for which every year approval is not taken from the parliament. Okay, so basically the salaries of the Supreme Court judges, they are the charged expenditure. However, expenditure made from the Consolidated Fund of India. Now, this is expenditure, for example, how much you are going to spend on roads, how many you are going to spend on railway. So, you have to show separately what is charge expenditure and what is other expenditure for which money now has to be withdrawn from the Consolidated Fund of India. Also, budget should show separately revenue expenditure and other type of expenditure. Now, what is revenue expenditure? We are also going to see this particular thing. Now, moving on, when we talk about budget, what largely budget contains? Budget largely contains estimates of revenue and capital receipts. Okay. Secondly, ways and means to raise the revenue. Okay, how you are going to raise revenue? Fine. Estimates of expenditure, details of actual receipts, actual expenditure from the closing financial year. Fine. The reason why there was surplus, why there was deficit, and economic and financial policy of the government, proposals with respect to the taxation. All these particular things are presented in a budget. Now, budget is not just the details of expenditure and receipts. It shows the government's economic policy with respect to the nation, that what government is going to do. Now, when we talk about budget is a short-term document, that is, its horizon is 1 year, but policies that are announced in budget might have impact in medium and even in the longer term. So, budget is a document of economic policy in short as well as in medium term, though horizon of budget is only 1 year. Now, moving on in this particular direction. Now, guys, when we talk about the budget, in budget, three types of data will be provided. First, it contains the actual figures of revenue and expenditure of the previous year. Now, right now we are in the financial year, that is 23-24. You already might be knowing this particular thing, that the financial year, it is from 1st April to 31st of March. Right now we are in the financial year, that is 23-24. So, present budget will contain the actual data of receipt and expenditure of previous financial year, that is 22-23. It will cover the revised figure of the present financial year. Now, guys, understand this thing. Last budget was announced on 1st October 2023. At that point of a time, government has said that we are going to raise this much of revenue, we are going to do this much of expenditure. Now, they were giving the advanced estimate that in next coming year, this much expenditure will be done, this much money will be raised. But as the entire year, approximately 1 year has happened, we need to see that actually on ground, how much expenditure happened, how much money we have received. So, it will contain the revised estimates of the current year. Okay, and it will give the estimates for the upcoming year. So, revised estimate for the year and what is the expectation for next year. So, these three types of data will be there. Again, I will repeat: actual figure of previous financial year, revised data of present year, and advances, okay, or the estimates for the next year, coming financial year. So, this is about it. Now, moving on in this particular direction. Now, when we talk about the budget, we find this particular thing, that the receipts and expenditure of the budget, they are made out of the three funds that are mentioned, or three accounts that are mentioned in the Constitution of India. Let's discuss them one by one. So first of all, we have the Consolidated Fund of India. First of all, we have the Consolidated Fund of India, which is mentioned in Article 266 subclause 1. Now, this is the main account of Government of India. You can understand it by this. All the money that Government of India is receiving, all the money that the Government of India is making payment, it comes and it goes from the Consolidated Fund of India. So basically all revenue, tax revenue from, for example, personal income tax, corporate tax, custom duties, excise duty, non-tax revenue, fine, whatever money government is receiving, it is going in this particular fund, that is Consolidated Fund of India. All loans that are being raised by the government, for example, by issuing treasury bills, internal loans, external, that particular money is also going in the Consolidated Fund of India. Now, understand this particular thing, that in order to withdraw any money from the Consolidated Fund of India, parliamentary approval has to be taken, bill has to be passed. Without passing the bill, without passing the appropriation bill, money cannot be withdrawn from this particular account, that is the Consolidated Fund of India. So this is one. Then second, we have the public accounts of India. Now, public account of India is the one in which government keeps that money which government is holding but on the behalf of the public. For example, guys, let's say that I opened a bank account into post office and I have deposited some money there. Now, right now, money is with the post office, which is an entity under the government of India, but this money is mine. I will ask that money after 5 years or 10 years. So this is my money, but is being held by the government. Okay, so that particular money will be placed under the public accounts of India. Also, guys, let's understand this thing. Suppose I'm a government employee and government is deducting from my salary some money for provident fund. So right now money is with the government, but after my retirement or after some time, I will claim that money now. So that money which government has, but they are holding it on the behalf of public, that particular money is placed in public account of India. It is mentioned in Article 266 subclause 2, and the money that is held here, you know, it is not government's own money. Government has to give that money. So they are called as other liabilities. They are called as other liabilities, and government is just a custodian of this particular fund and has to be repaid whenever the public will ask. So what it contains? It contains money raised through small saving, provident fund, fine, all such kind of things. Okay, fine. Okay, then the next is Contingency Fund of India. Now, Contingency Fund of India is mentioned under Article 261 subclause 1. Now, Contingency Fund of India is dedicatedly that particular fund which is kept so that if some emergency comes, if some disaster comes, we can take money out of this. Now, it is for meeting unforeseen expenditure. This particular fund is actually held by the Secretary of Finance Ministry. He holds this fund on behalf of President of India. Okay, on the behalf of President of India. So actually, Constitution mentions that the Contingency Fund of India will be under President, but actually, on the behalf of President, it is held by the Secretary of Finance. Also, in this particular money, for spending money, you don't need any parliamentary approval as of now, but later words, parliamentary approval has to be taken up because you have to send the money back. For example, government took 100 crore rupees out of it, but again there is money that is to be reimbursed to this particular fund. So there, then the parliament's approval will be taken. Then moving on, when we talk about, guys, budget, okay, you might have heard two words: revenue budget, capital budget. Revenue budget, capital budget. So basically these two are the part of budget only. These two are the part of budget only. Now, revenue budget is that particular budget, or revenue budget is that part which contains account of those receipts and expenditures which neither will create some asset or will nor be reducing some kind of a liability. Now, understand this particular thing. Understand this particular thing, guys. That see, fine. Revenue budget, capital budget. It will contain revenue receipts, revenue expenditure, capital receipts, capital expenditure. Okay, revenue side, revenue receipts, revenue expenditure, capital receipts, capital expenditure. Now, what is this particular revenue receipts and revenue capital? Okay, so first, revenue receipts and revenue expenditure and capital receipts and capital expenditure, what it is in simple terms, let's understand this. First, we are going to understand about receipts, revenue and capital, both receipts we are going to understand, Now, understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about revenue side, you see, government is spending a lot of money, for example, in paying salaries, in maintenance, in law and order. Now, money that is being spent by the government in these kind of activities, neither they will create any asset for the government, nor government's liability is getting reduced. So, all the money that government is paying for maintenance work, for the salary work, or for the payment of interest, that particular expenditure, it is revenue expenditure. We have capital expenditure or capital budget. Now understand this particular thing. Money that government is paying, but that money will build some asset. Okay, or if it will reduce some liability. For example, government had loan of 100 crore rupees. Government paid off that particular loan. If government paid off that loan, government's liability will go down. So basically, when we talk about this particular word, that is revenue and capital, it has to do with the nature of the money that is being spent or that is being raised. Again, I will repeat, revenue, it is that type of expenditure which is not creating any asset, which is not reducing any liability. This money is paid for normal maintenance work, salary work, for interest. The money that we are paying, it is the revenue expenditure. Capital expenditure, you are doing expenditure, but some asset is being built. You built flyover, you built some other kind of an asset, or the money you are being paid, but your liability is going down. That is the capital expenditure. Same way, we have receipts also on both the side, capital receipts and revenue receipts. Okay. Now, when we talk about revenue receipts can be of two types: tax revenue receipts, non-tax revenue receipts. Capital receipts can be of two types: debt creating receipts, non-debt creating receipts. First, we are going to discuss the tax revenue receipts. Tax revenue receipt, which is a type of a revenue, receipt. Now, when we talk about tax revenue receipts, okay, so money that government is raising, for example, union excise duties imposed on petrol, diesel, etc. So, money that is being raised through here, it will be called as a tax revenue receipt. Money coming through goods and services tax, tax revenue receipt. Money coming through custom duties, tax revenue receipt. Money coming through corporate tax, tax revenue receipt. Income tax, tax revenue receipt. Other taxes and duties, tax revenue receipt. All this money will be shown in revenue budget. Revenue tax receipts. Okay. Then there are non-tax revenue receipts. What it will include? Interest receipts. Now government also has given loan, and as government has given loan, government will receive interest money, so it will come here. Also dividend and profit from PSUs. There are many government PSUs that are there. There are many public sector banks that are there. So public sector bank, they are making profit. PSUs are making profit. Dividend, okay, is being paid by them. So that will come into the non-tax revenue receipt. So both of these are the components of the revenue side. Then there are the capital receipts. So I told you that the capital receipts could be debt creating. Okay, fine. If I just go back, capital receipts. So I told you capital receipts can be debt creating, can be non-debt creating. So first we are going to see the debt creating capital receipts. So basically debt will be created. Okay. Now you will receive money, but debt will be created. So what can be examples? Market loan. Government is taking the loan. Issuance of special security to public sector bank. Treasury bills are being issued by the government. Gold bonds are being issued by the government. External debt from some other country, government has taken the loan, or from some financial institution, government has taken a loan, but the loan has to be paid. So we got money. Market loan will get money. Issuance of special securities to bank will get money. Treasury bills will get money. Gold bonds will get money, but it will create the liability. So this is the debt creating, liability creating receipts, capital receipt. Okay. Then there are non-debt capital receipts, non-debt capital receipts. Now see this thing, government should get money, but your liability should not increase. How you can do that? How you can do that? Fine, suppose I need money, but I don't want that my liability should increase. So what I can do? I can sell my car, I can sell my factory, I can sell my land. What government can do? Government can collect money from disinvestment. Government has PSUs in which government has a share. Government will go for disinvestment. Government will government will sell their share in PSU, and then government will receive the money. Fine, proceeds from disinvestment. Or what government can do? Government can recover the loan. Okay, so government in past gave some loan, now it recovers that. Money will come, but no liability will be created. Liability will be created. Okay, so this is something. Then further moving on, guys, let's go on the expenditure side of revenue and capital. Now, what are the revenue expenditures? All expenditure that does not add to asset. They are regular and recurring. Capital expenditure are not regular. Fine, but revenue expenditures are regular. Okay, revenue expenditures will not create any asset. Fine, neither it will reduce liability. Now, what are the example of revenue expenditure? Example of revenue expenditure: interest payment. You are paying money. Now, interest payment is to be given at regular interval, yearly, monthly, quarterly. Subsidies, okay, not asset, not any asset is not creating. Grant to state or grant given to the foreign government. Okay, so grant, you will not be able to get it back. Grant is not recoverable. Pension and salaries, defense and police services. We are giving a lot of money for social services. Fine, we are giving a lot of money. Then capital expenditure. It either will create an asset or will reduce the liability of the government. They are irregular. They are irregular, non-recurring. And what are the examples? What are the example? Repayment of loan by the government of India, purchase of machinery, infrastructure projects. Okay, moving on, guys, in this capacity. Now, the concept of deficit. Concept of deficit. So basically, a balanced budget is one where balanced budget is one where receipt and expenditure match, but very rarely it happens. In India, regularly we run in a deficit. It means that we are spending more, we are getting less. This is not always a bad thing. Why? Because India is a developing country and there are the developmental needs. So therefore, we have to spend more money for the welfare and for a lot of things. So India will have deficit regularly. If these deficits are in a particular range, are in a manageable range, then not a problem. But if it goes beyond a particular range, then it becomes a problem. Okay, now different types of deficits are there. Now we have revenue deficit first. What is revenue deficit? Revenue deficit is deficit on the side of the revenue budget. We have revenue receipts, revenue expenditure. If revenue expenditure is more than the revenue receipts, what we will have? We have revenue deficit. So what revenue deficit is? It refers to the excess of total revenue expenditure of the government over its total revenue receipts. So total revenue expenditure minus revenue receipts. Okay, both tax revenue as well as non-tax revenue. Okay, then the next is effective revenue deficit. Effective revenue deficit. Now, guys, one concept. If you remember, we have seen that in revenue expenditure, the grant that we have given to the state governments, it also is included. It is also included. I told you that grant is non-recoverable. But let's say union government is giving grant to the state, but state used that particular grant to make some asset. That grant was used to make some school. That grant was used to make some hospital. So asset got created. Okay. Now, what we are going to do? From revenue deficit, we will deduct that particular grant which was created for making, which was used for making some asset. So revenue deficit minus the grant, not all grants. Keep in mind, not all grants. Those grants which have been used by state to make some asset. So revenue deficit, remove that particular grant. Whatever you will get, that will be the effective revenue deficit. Okay. Then next is fiscal deficit. So what is fiscal deficit? Fiscal deficit is broader. Fiscal deficit, it is difference between government's total expenditure and its total receipts, excluding borrowings. Okay. Let's say on both revenue and capital front. Government spend 100 rupees, but government received only 80 rupees. Then this 20 rupees, it is fiscal deficit. This shows that how much more borrowing government has to take, how much more money government has to raise. Because at the end of the day, fine, you are spending more, you are receiving less. How you are spending more? For spending more, you have to arrange money. Now you have to take loan. So what is the fiscal deficit? Fiscal deficit simply reflects that how much government has to borrow. It indicates the additional number of financial resource needed to meet government's expenditure. More deficit, more fiscal deficit means more money has to be taken on loan. More money is to be taken on loan means more interest has to be paid on future. So therefore fiscal deficit always needs to be sustainable, and FRBM Act, Fiscal Responsibility Budget Management Act, puts obligations on India in terms of the fiscal deficit that it can make. Okay, then we have primary deficit. What is primary deficit? So primary deficit is fiscal deficit minus interest payments. Fiscal deficit minus interest payment. Now guys, interest payment that we are making today, it is on the loan that we have taken in the past. It is the loan that we have taken in the past. We are paying money, but we have not used money this year. We have not used this money for making some asset. We have not used this money for some from our current year's expenditure. So we have primary deficit, which is fiscal deficit minus the interest payments. They are of the past. What it shows? It shows the borrowing requirement of the government for meeting expenditure, excluding the interest payment. So this is we have. Then further, the stages of enactment of budget. Stages of enactment of budget. So stage number 1 is the presentation of budget. So basically budget is presented in the parliament by the finance minister, and finance minister gives a speech here. Once the speech is given, then the budget copies are distributed for general discussion. Here budget as a overview, it is discussed, but no voting on grants etc. is done. Now what will be happen? Budget will be given to the departmental committees, and departmental committees will scrutinize the budget and will give its report back. After that, voting on demands for grant will happen. Here the voting will be done, and here MPs can move the cut motion. MPs can move the cut motion. Then passing of appropriation bill. Now this appropriation bill is important because if you remember, now suppose government came out with the budget that we need 1 lakh crore rupees. From where 1 lakh crore rupees will come? 1 lakh crore rupees will come from the Consolidated Fund of India. And you cannot withdraw any money from the Consolidated Fund of India if you don't take the approval of Parliament, if you don't pass a bill. So appropriation bill will be passed, by which we will take the approval that yes, we are going to withdraw this much money from the Consolidated Fund of India. Then finance bill will be brought. What is finance bill? Finance bill will give in effect other proposals that government proposed. For example, tax slabs might got have rearranged, some other proposals might have been brought. So for that, finance bill will be passed and new budget will come in effect. Fine. Now let's discuss the present budget. So present budget is budget of 24-25. Budget of 24-25. Now first of all, rupee comes from. Now in this particular thing, prelims question might be asked, majority of rupee, where it is coming from. So we see this particular thing, that 28% of the money will be coming from borrowings and liabilities. It is a deficit budget, means we are spending more. So 28% money that we are spending will come from borrowing and liabilities. Then after that, income tax. So income tax is contributing 19%. Corporation tax 17%. Okay. Before that, GST will come 18%, corporation tax 17%. Okay. Fine. After that, we have the non-tax receipts 7%. In non-tax receipts, we have seen that money given by dividends, money given by interest payments, the union that has given the loan, interest payment. Fine. So that non-tax receipt is 7%. Non-debt capital receipts. Non-debt capital receipts. Okay, non-debt capital receipts such as money received by disinvestment. Okay, that etc. is 1%. Money from custom duties is 4%. Union excise duties, money is coming 5%. So majority where it is coming, borrowing and other liabilities, and after that money is coming from income tax. Okay, income tax, after that GST. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, the next is where the money goes. Where the money goes in the present budget. So basically majority of money that is going, it is in two things. Number one, interest payment. So in past we have taken the loans, fine, because in past also deficit budgets were there. So 20% money is going for interest payment. 20% money is going to the state's share of taxes and duties. Now you see this thing, GST. GST is being collected, but government has to give that GST money ka share to state also. So state's share of taxes and duties, 20% money will go there. After that, central sector schemes. Central sector schemes. Central sector schemes are those schemes which are funded entirely by the central government. So 16% money will go toward the central sector scheme. After that, 8% money will be going to the centrally sponsored schemes. Centrally sponsored schemes are those schemes where both center as well as state will contribute the money. Then Finance Commission and other transfers. So Finance Commission, right now 15th Finance Commission is in operation. 16th Finance Commission has also been constituted. Now 15th Finance Commission or Finance Commission, it is constituted by the President of India under Article 280, and Finance Commissions recommends that how money can be augmented, or Finance Commission is given the terms of reference in which it suggests that how states are to be given grant, states are to be given funding. So as per Finance Commission recommendation, some more money is to be given to the state. So 8% money will go to that type of transfers. Then there will be the other expenditures, that is 9%. Then defense expenditure is 8%. Subsidies, we are paying a lot of subsidies on agriculture, on social security, on lot of things, on urea, etc. So that subsidy is 6%. Pensions burden, it is 4%. So this is something where money is going to. Then highlights of the present budget. Highlights of the present budget. So up till now, it was the static aspects of budget for economy and polity, and now the highlights of the present budget. And again, here we are going to analyze budget. We are not only going to read budget, not only passive reading, but analysis of budget. First of all, budget provides the goal of Viksit Bharat by 2047. That is the 100-year independence anniversary of India. Viksit Bharat by 2047. Now, understand this particular thing, that under Viksit Bharat, now you might have heard it many number of times, sabka saath sabka vikas, sabka vishwas, sabka saath sabka vikas, sabka vishwas. That is a comprehensive development of all, and this in a way is nothing but inclusive development where everybody is included. Now what government has provided, that developed India Viksit Bharat 2047 will be achieved with the help of three pillars. That is, now please use it in your mains answer, GS paper number 3. That is demography, democracy and diversity. Demography. India has exceptionally young population. Because of that young population, India is going to receive demographic dividend. And 2020 to 2040, as per UNFPA, is a golden window of India's demographic dividend. Because of young population, we will attain lot of economic advantages. So with the help of demography, young population, democracy, and with the diversity, we are going forward in the Viksit Bharat 2047. Okay, moving on. Then people-centric inclusive development will be focused. People-centric inclusive development will be focused. Now guys, in this particular capacity, the first focus will be on development of physical infrastructure, digital infrastructure and social infrastructure. Physical infrastructure includes building flyovers, highways, ports, etc., which is important for economic development and physical development. Then the next is digital infrastructure. For example, DigiLocker is there. Okay, government has come out with the Aadhaar biometric verification. That is the digital infrastructure. Also, digital infrastructure includes one very important thing, that is digital optic network cables. Okay, providing internet to all. Fine. This is all the part of the digital infrastructure, and Digital India mission aims to build the digital infrastructure. Then there is a social infrastructure, developing Anganwadis, developing schools, developing hospitals, developing skill centers. So focus will be on all the types of infrastructure. And digital public infrastructure such as internet, highways, etc., they are specifically being focused. Then deepening and widening of tax base via GST. Now, one thing guys I want to tell you before going in this particular budget, that this particular budget is an interim budget. So rather than coming out with some new radical kind of reforms, what government is going to do? Government is going to focus more on achievements that they have done in the past. So a lot of things on that line you will find in this particular budget. Okay. Deepening of tax base via GST. Okay. Strengthening of financial sector. Fine. Proactive inflation management, gift city. So a dedicated financial city, gift city has already been built in Gujarat. Now such more gift cities will be developed. Okay, now India and world dollar GDP growth has been given. Now guys, here some important aspects are being given. Focus areas. So this is just overview. This is just overview. Nothing much important is there. Fine. But now we have the core important aspects of budget. Number one, government provide this particular thing, that government's reform in the past has led to a lot of benefit. For example, you might be knowing about the direct benefit transfer, DBT. So through DBT, all the government payments that government is making, for example, for subsidy if government is giving some money, or some social welfare if government is giving money, now government transfer that money directly into the bank account, direct bank transfer. Because of that, leakages have been plugged, and it has led to saving of 2.7 lakh crore rupees. Now please guys note down this particular data, and you can use it in your GS paper number 3, and you can give the reference of budget 23 budget 24-25. So DBT, what is the benefit? It has led to the saving of 2.7 lakh crore. Reference budget. 25 crore people moved off multi-dimensional poverty. Now, recently, Niti Aayog also released the multi-dimensional poverty index. 25 crore people moved out of multi-dimensional poverty. Now, for example, a person is not able to afford food. It is one type of poverty. Second, a person is not able to afford healthcare. It is another type of poverty. Person is not having the house. It is another type of poverty. So, multi-dimensional poverty is one where people are facing deprivation on multiple factors. So, 25 crore people has moved out of the multi-dimensional poverty. Now, if we see percentage of population who are multidimensionally poor, its percentage have went down. So, around 55.3% in 2005-6, and now it has come to 11.3% in 22-23. Again, the reference is budget. Then, credit assistance to 78 lakh street vendors under PM Swanidhi scheme. So, PM Swanidhi scheme was introduced by the government of India during the COVID pandemic as a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan fiscal package. As a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan fiscal package. Under this PM Swanidhi, credit working capital loans were provided to the vendors, fine vendors, roadside vendors, up to 10,000 rupees of working capital loan were to be given, and 78 lakh street vendors have been given loan, by which they are again able to revive their livelihood. Then next, government has taken the aim to train next 1.4 crore youth have already been trained under the Skill India mission. Then increase has been given for PM Shri Yojana. Increase for PM Shri Yojana. Increase for PM Shri Yojana. Now, what is this PM Shri? What is this PM Shri? What is this PM Shri? Okay. So basically, guys, the PM Shri scheme I have provided you here also. So PM Shri scheme. Okay. Now I have provided you here separately in the notes. So you please download the notes. So PM Shri, it stands for Pradhan Mantri Schools for Rising India. Pradhan Mantri Prime Minister School for Rising India. In this particular scheme, additional funding of up to 2 crore rupees will be given to existing school. As of now, government has identified that 14,500 schools will be promoted. No new school is being built. No new school is being built. Existing schools that are run by the center, state, UT, local bodies, Kendriya Vidyalaya, Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, these schools will be providing funded up to 2 crore rupees, and by that particular funding, they will modernize themselves. By that particular funding, what they will do? They will bring modern infrastructure such as labs, smart classrooms. They will incorporate toy-based, play-based learning, so that they come on par with the government schools. So they can come par on the government schools. Fine. So this is the PM Shri school, and the funding for the PM Shri school has been increased. So what has happened? PM Shri school's budget allocation has been increased from 4,000 to 6,050. Okay. Then after that, fostering entrepreneurial aspiration, 43 crore loan sanction under PM Mudra Yojana. Okay. So this is achievement of the government in the past. What is Mudra Yojana? Mudra Yojana. Mudra, PM Mudra stands for Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. Now this particular scheme was launched in 2015 to provide financial assistance to people in the non-corporate, non-farm small business. Non-corporate, non-farm small business. And 3 type of loans are to be provided. Fine. And up to 10 lakh rupees of loan. Fine. Are to be provided. Shishu, Kishore, Tarun. Shishu, Kishore, Tarun. 3 types of loan up to 10 lakh rupees. Okay. So this is about it. Then next focus area. Government has focused specifically on the welfare of annadata, that is farmers. Fine. And here government has provided this particular thing, that direct financial assistance to 11.8 crore farmers have been provided under PM Kisan. Now what is PM Kisan? PM Kisan is Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. Under this particular scheme, 6,000 rupees are provided every year to a farmer. 6,000 rupees are to be provided. They are provided in 3 installments of 2,000, 2,000 and 2,000. So 11.8 crore farmers are receiving money under the PM Kisan. Then crop insurance is being given to 4 crore farmers under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. So under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, as subsidized premium insurance is provided. In past UPSC has asked the question also. So basically 2% premium is to be given for Kharif crops, 1.5% premium is to be given for Rabi crops, 5% premium is to be given for commercial and horticulture sector crops. So on these particular flat premium rates, insurance is provided. Insurance is provided. Okay. Then next is integration of 1361 mandis under ENAM. So what is ENAM? ENAM stands for electric National Agriculture Market. Now what is ENAM? ENAM is an online trading platform. It is an online trading platform where the APMC, Agriculture Produce Market Committees, where mandis have been connected on online platform. So ENAM is an online platform where mandis, 1316 mandis have been connected. Fine. Now this particular ENAM platform was launched by government in 2016. And what it aims to create? It aims to create a unified national market for agricultural commodities, a unified market of agricultural commodities. And what it does, it brings together farmers, traders, buyers, fine, on a common platform. So 1316 mandis have been connected in under ENAM. The next 30 crore Mudra Yojana loans. Now, already we have discussed the Mudra Yojana loan. Out of the total loans that have been given under Mudra, so we see this particular thing that, we have seen this particular thing that the Mudra loans have been given here. We have seen. Okay. So, yes. 43 crore loans have been sanctioned under the Mudra Yojana. Dedicatedly 30 crore Mudra loans have been given to women entrepreneurs. Now, female enrollment in higher education has also been increased. It was 23.3% and it went to 37%. Okay. Now, 43% of female enrollment in STEM courses. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering and mathematics. And 1 crore women have been assisted to become Lakhpati Didis. Now, what is Lakhpati Didi scheme? Under Lakhpati Didi scheme, government is going to help women so that they start some micro enterprise so that they can earn at least 1 lakh rupees of income per annum. So under Lakhpati Didi scheme, 83 lakh women are being helped. They are being organized in the self-help groups. Then next thing that comes here in this direction is strategies for Amrit Kal. Now when we talk about Amrit Kal, so Amrit Kal, fine, basically these next 25 years are the years period of Amrit Kal. And after the end of this 25 years, India will become a developed nation by 2047. So in this Amrit Kal, what we are focusing on? We are focusing on the net zero. So India has taken the target of becoming net zero by 2070, and this target we took in 2021, that is COP26, that was held in Glasgow. Now, what is net to become net zero? It means that our carbon emissions and the carbon that we are absorbing will balance out. So total emissions will be zero. Whatever we are emitting, the same we will absorb. So total net emissions will be zero. So we want to become net zero by 2070. And for that, viability gap funding for wind energy. Now, what is viability gap funding? Suppose some developer is building a windmill. Now 100 crore rupees, let's say, were needed. That person had 100 crore rupees. Now when the project is going on, he realized that okay, not only 100 crore, 110 crore rupees needed. He has already spent 100 crore rupees. Now for 10 crore rupees, let's say he does not have the money. 90% project is completed. 10% of project is not completed. Why? Because 10 crore rupee money is not there. So government can provide the viability gap funding. Funding to make a project viable. So for wind projects, government will give viability gap funding. projects which have been stalled, projects which are not moving forward because they don't have some 5%, 10% money, government will give money there. Then setting up of coal gasification and liquefaction capacity, phased mandatory blending of CNG, PNG and compressed biogas so that our reliance on petrol and diesel comes down. Okay, financial assistance for procurement of biogas. Then next is rooftop solarization. So we discussed it few days back also that after the consecration ceremony at Ayodhya, Prime Minister said that he is going to help the 1 crore households to develop the rooftop solar plants, and he gave the name PM Surya Uday Yojana. So this PM Surya Uday Yojana, which was mentioned by Prime Minister after Ayodhya consecration, it has found mention in the budget also. Adoption of e-bus public transportation. Okay. Now, the next is very important. New scheme for biomanufacturing and biofoundry. New scheme for biomanufacturing and biofoundry. Now, what is biomanufacturing? Now, guys, understand this thing. Plastic is needed in everything. You need plastic for making this pen. You need plastic for making bottle. But this plastic is non-degradable. Because of it, it leads to many environmental problems. So, a new scheme of biomanufacturing and biofoundry is being brought. Under this particular scheme, what government will do? Government will provide subsidy, will provide support to environmental friendly alternatives, such as biodegradable polymers. These biodegradable polymers will be used to make biodegradable plastic. So support will be given to biodegradable polymers, bioplastics, biopharmaceuticals, bioagricultural inputs. Fine. Now this particular thing, now this is the analysis part. This particular thing will further add on around, it will add on $300 billion to Indian economy by 2030 and $1 trillion to Indian economy by 2047. And also it will help India in its life mission. It will help India in its life mission. Okay. So that is all about it. Then strategy for Amrit Kal. Strategy for Amrit Kal. Now, further, here one very important scheme, the thing that has come, implementation of 3 major railway corridor programs under PM Gati Shakti. So 3 major corridors. What are these 3 major corridors? Very important for GS3 infrastructure. So basically what has happened, center will come out with 3 economic corridor program. Fine. Energy corridor, mineral corridor, cement corridor. Now, energy corridor, mineral corridor, cement corridor. Coal is to be transported from one place to another place. Cement is to be transported from some places to other places. Okay, other minerals, iron ore, etc. is to be transported. Now, understand this thing. We don't have often dedicated separate tracks throughout the route. Because of that, it leads to congestions. Okay, so government is going to develop dedicated corridors for energy, mineral and cement. Also, government will, now these particular corridors are being referred to as energy economic corridor, 3 corridors, energy, mineral and cement. And then there will be the port connectivity corridor where the trains will be connected dedicatedly with the port. Fine, it is called as the rail sagar. And then high traffic density corridors for the movement of passenger traffic. That is the Amrit Chaturbhuj. So Amrit Chaturbhuj, high density corridors, rail sagar, corridors where railways will be connected to port, and energy economic corridor, which will further include 3, that is energy, cement and minerals. So this is that government further has announced. Okay. Now one more thing, guys, here, that capital expenditure has also been increased. Capital expenditure also has been increased. And you see that post financial year 18 to the present financial year, capital expenditure as a percent of GDP has been increased, and now it stands at around 3.8%, 3.7, 3.8%. Fine. Then further, what government is going to do? Promotion of foreign investment via bilateral investment treaties. Fine. They will be negotiated with other countries. Also, expansion of UDAN scheme. UDAN stands for Ude Desh Ke Aam Nagrik, where tier 2, tier 3 cities are mainly tier 2, 3 cities are being provided air connectivity. Then promotion of urban transformation via metro and Namo Bharat. So Namo Bharat are dedicated electric multiple unit train which are built for regional transportation. And right now, recently between Delhi and Meerut, this Namo Bharat train has been started. Many such trains in the urban areas will be further started. Then the next is aspirational district program. Now, what is aspirational district program? Aspirational district program, under this 112 district which have poor social economic indicators, they have been chosen and dedicated focus will be given. So under the aspirational district, what will be done? Specific focus will be given. Okay, so inclusive development in aspirational districts. Percentage of women registered for antenatal care, their number have increased from 68% to 89%. Number of enrollments under Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, enrollment increased from 1737 to 13195. Then in the health sector, cervical cancer vaccination for girls, because cervical cancer is one of the most pervasive type of cancer that is found, so vaccine will be provided. Saksham Anganwadi 2.0, these are the new age Anganwadis which will be integrated with the tech, which will be integrated with new funding so that they can help women and children. Fine. Then next is UWIN platform for immunization, and this is most important thing, that health cover under Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan will be provided to Asha Anganwadi workers. Earlier they were not covered and many articles also came in this line, but now they will be provided the health cover. Then also one very important aspect comes here in the scheme is Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin. Now it is already achieved the target of 3 crore houses. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, fine, Gramin, 3 crore houses have been provided. Additional 2 crore houses will be provided in next 5 years. Very good. Also one very important thing, that housing scheme for middle class has been launched so that middle class can buy, can build their own houses. Now as of now, how will be support will be provided, much details have not come, but this is very much good. Then Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana allocations have been increased. Fine, the increase is very much marginal. Then tourism. On tourism sector, what government is going to do? Government will encourage the states to undertake development of iconic tourist centers to attract business. Fine. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about tourism, tourism is a low hanging fruit. India has cultural diversity, ecological diversity, spiritual diversity, medical tourists are coming. So therefore states need to leverage tourism, and for that particular thing, what will be done? Long term interest free loans will be provided to state government so that they can encourage tourism. Fine. Also what happened, this G20 2023 that was hosted, meetings were held across the country, and that was an exercise to showcase India's diversity to foreign travelers. Okay. Also projects for port connectivity tourism, fine, will be taken up. The next in this particular direction is agriculture and food processing. So basically guys, when we talk about the agriculture and food processing, so government is dedicatedly going to focus on private and public investment in post harvest activities. Now see this thing, farmer has harvested the crop, now farmer does not have the warehouse to store that food, so farmer will immediately go to the mandi, will sell that produce. But right now all the farmers are selling, supply is high, so what will happen, the farmer will get less price. Also because storage facilities are not there, a lot of food crops they get rotten. So therefore, post-harvest management infrastructure will be built. Application of nano DAP, fine, it is a fertilizer. Then Atmanirbhar oil seeds Abhiyan. Now we are dependent on the other countries for oil. We are importing a lot of oil. We will become Atmanirbhar in oil seed production so that oil production in India can be increased. Then comprehensive program for dairy development and implementation of Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, which is dedicatedly for fishery sector. It will promote aquaculture and will help in India to to leverage the blue economy. 5 integrated aqua parks will also be established. Okay, allocation for blue revolution 2025, this 2025 crores, it has increased 2025 to 2352. Fine. Then resilient performance of Indian economy. So here we see that the current account deficit as a percentage of GDP has declined from 23. Unemployment rate has declined to 3.2%. Now see, these data you can use in your mains answer. Fine. Then NPA, fine. Basically declining GNPAs, fine, non-performing assets, digital transactions have increased. So please take down this particular page specifically and use these particular data for your mains answer writing. Fine, rise in gross monthly GST collection, and this we are seeing continuously in our Hindu analysis that they are increasing. Inflation has declined, though for considerable period it stayed above the 6% range. Here you can see 23, 6.7, 6.2%, but now it is coming down to 5.5%. Okay, then further, achievements of taxation reforms. Direct tax collections more than trebled. Okay, returns files, the number of return that is being filed, they have increased. Faster refund times, fine, and all such kind of things are there. Nothing much important is there. Now when we talk about taxation regime, here again nothing much has nothing much has changed. Continuity in taxation, existing tax brackets are being continued. Even finance minister said this thing, that changing the tax slabs frequently only helps the chartered accountants. However, this section is not that much important for your examination, because we are not preparing for CA examination, we are preparing for UPSC CSE examination. Okay, then allocations for specific ministries. So highest allocation has been given to Ministry of Defense, 6.2 lakh crore, then Ministry of Road, 2.78 lakh crore, and likewise. So you need to know the highest allocation is for Ministry of Defense. Okay, so that is all guys about it. And the major allocations for the schemes. So MG Narega, fine, MG Narega allocation increased from 60 to 86,000 crore. Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan 72 to 7,500 crore rupees. PLI scheme 4645 to 6,200 crore rupees scheme. Guys, I will advise that at least this data you please remember, because you can use it in your mains examination. Now, MG Narega will take care of rural unemployment. Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan, more funding means better healthcare. PLI schemes, it will help the manufacturing sector. Modified program for semiconductors, it will help India to take advantage of fourth industrial revolution, will make India semiconductor hub, but even more money is needed. Then solar power grid, renewable energy, net zero will be achieved. National Green Hydrogen Mission, sustainable energy again will help in net zero. So this is guys all about the budget for today. So that is all about it guys, and it actually takes a lot of effort to prepare the content and to make the videos which will have both analytical as well as conceptual part. So guys, if you have liked the video, please do hit the like button, please do subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much.